What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with another price guide for vintage Star Wars toys. We've got everything from loose graded figures to ungraded and graded mint on cards, spanning the gamut. And you name it, I've tried to include it across a wide range of prices. We have an absolute ton of items to go through, so I'm going to go ahead and dig right in. The first one is a AFA 80 Plus First 12 R2-D2 Solid Dome. And this one was a Hong Kong COO. AFA 80, pretty nice, new case style. That one sold for 124 pounds, or about 151 US dollars at auction, plus shipping, 20 bids. It's nice to see that more and more sellers over in the UK are going away from the global shipping program with eBay. This price for shipping from the UK to the US was 15 pounds, or 18 US dollars. That's a lot better than the GSP program where it's like $40 to $60 for a loose graded figure, which is ridiculous. But that was a really nice one. This was a UKG 85 Power Droid. I did forget to look up what the final sales price was, but this one was listed for 165 pounds and did sell. This was the Hong Kong COO. Again, UKG straight 85s with a subgrade. So pretty nice looking item there. Probably sold for 150 pounds or so. Here was an AFA 80 Plus Death Star droid, another really nice one. This one sold for 91 US dollars, or 75 pounds plus shipping. That was a great deal, an absolute great deal on a beautiful looking Death Star droid. Another Death Star droid, exact same grade, exact same COO, Hong Kong. This one was over in the US and sold for a little bit more. So this one sold for 113 US dollars plus shipping. So that gives you a nice price range for an AFA 80 Plus Death Star droid. On the low end, $91, high end, $113. That's a pretty nice narrow band there in case you're looking for one. Now, if you move up to an AFA 85, you're probably pushing $175 to $200 is my guess. So it's a lot cheaper just to get that slight difference in grade. And for me, the naked eye, I can't hardly tell the difference between an AFA 80 Plus and an AFA 85. And in fact, I would argue that my AFA 85 Death Star droid was not nearly as nice as these two. So you never know what you're going to get. Make sure you look at it, buy the figure, not the grade. And that was a case where I bought the grade and not the figure, because I think my AFA 85 is nice, but it's not nearly as nice as these two. Just my personal opinion. Here's another one, and I want to point this seller out, Geronimo 2014 on eBay. He has a Facebook sales page called Geronimo Toys. So look it up on Facebook. Here he is right here. And if you see anything that this gentleman lists, you can reach out to him on Facebook and you can avoid the eBay fees. That's what I've done in the past with him. But this was one I've been watching for a while and I really wanted it, but I just couldn't make it happen. This was a Palatoy A baggie graded UKG 85%. And it was just a really, really nice one. And it was listed for 350 pounds or 425 US dollars plus shipping. And again, this would have been a lot less expensive if whoever bought this had bought this on Facebook. You would have saved at least probably 30 to 50 US dollars on that. So, but still, that is a really nice item. This seller, Browns, again, he had a number of really nice high grade, loose graded vintage Star Wars figures, as he always does. This was an AFA 85 no COO Luke Jedi. That one sold for $265 plus shipping. That's a pretty darn good deal for a nice high grade Luke. Here was an ungraded 48 back Zuckuss, and I thought that this was a pretty darn good deal as well. This was unpunched, but it had a little bit of wear around the hang tab, just slight edge wear, some scuffing and things like that. Probably a 75 plus with AFA. You probably, maybe you get a very, very low end 80 with CAS or UKG, but this was a very nice one, really nice one, and the price was great, $225 plus shipping. That's a great deal for a clear blister Zuckuss on the ESB card back. And that same seller, I believe, it might be a different seller, but this seller had a couple that I'm going to talk about. This is one I want to talk about. This is a 45 back General Mills Han Solo. And the reason I bring this one up is that it was graded AFA 85, but this is the infamous Toy Tony in action. These are the German cardbacks, German language cardbacks. And Toy Tony had a nice little operation going in the early 2000s where he bought overstock blisters and cardbacks unused, and then he assembled them with loose complete figures. And he sold them as factory assembled originals. And so a number of them did pass muster with AFA and UKG before the ruse was found out. And so you got to be careful anytime you see, pretty much anytime you see a nice high grade General Mills German card back with this German language on the back. If it's a high grade item, it's probably a Toy Tony. And I just bought one that I'm going to show you on the channel probably tomorrow or the next day that I wanted to add to my collection just to get that German card back. But this is the reason why this item sold so cheap. $521 for a foreign card back that's an AFA 85. Clearly the market knows that it's a Toy Tony. Now, I'm not trying to say anything negative about this seller, but he didn't disclose that it's a Toy Tony in the video, in the description for the item. He just says, if you have any questions, that's all he says. But he really should have disclosed that this is a Toy Tony. This is absolutely 100% a Toy Tony. And they always command pretty good money just for the card backs. You know, can you imagine what these unused card backs would be worth now? An overstock unused German card back, it'd be worth a lot more than a $521 number if it was graded just as an unused card back. So it's a shame that the operation kind of happened with Toy Tony. It was discovered kind of by the toy collecting community in 2013 or so, and those prices dropped like a rock. They've since gone back up because people understand that these are pretty nice items, whether they were assembled by the factory or assembled after the fact. But absolutely, anytime you see one of these 45 back General Mills and it's high grade or very clean, ungraded, it's probably a Toy Tony. The same seller also had an AFA 85 Kenner Canada Leia Organa, and it had just a very slight yellowing tint, it looks like, at the top of that blister, but it's labeled as a clear blister. That sold for $333 plus shipping, so that's a pretty nice looking item there. Next up, going back to that same seller, this is an AFA 85 Imperial Commander. This was the Hong Kong straight brown eyes. There's also curved eyes. There's so many different variations for this Imperial Commander, but that's a really nice high grade example. That sold for $147.50 plus shipping. That was a pretty good deal. This seller had a UKG 85 Hong Kong COO Han Solo in his Hoth outfit, and it had the beautiful brand new case from UKG. I absolutely love these cases. I know I say it all the time, but those accessory cases are just impeccable. I love the way they've started to encase them. That one sold for 155 pounds, which is 188 US dollars. Same seller also had this UKG 90 grade Han Solo trench coat from the Return of the Jedi line, and that is, look how clean that cape is on him. That's the plain lapel. There's also the camo lapel, and I don't believe the UKG labels that as such. So this is the no COO version, and it doesn't label plain versus camo lapel on UKG's labels. I know that they do that on AFA's labels, but a 90 grade, woo, that is a very, very high grade item. It was 225 pounds, best offer accepted plus shipping. Here was an ungraded 65 back mint on card squid head, clear blister as well, and I was tempted by this one. It had a little bit of creasing and spider veins around the hanger tab, but very, very clean overall. And that was a great price, 206 US dollars, 265 Canadian, took that one home. But that was a good deal. That was a really good steal of a deal there. You just never know what you're going to find on eBay. You got to keep your eyes open. And if I had any money, I probably would have bought this because I don't have any US card squid heads. I've got the three that I own are all foreign. I've got a Takara, I believe. I have a Lily Letty made in Mexico for the U.S. market, and then I have a Palatoy Tri-Logo. But I don't have any U.S. card backs, so it didn't work for me timing-wise, but that was a great deal for a clear blister. Return of the Jedi Squid Head. I believe that's the debut card as well. Next up is a Palatoy Tri-Logo AT-ST driver. A little bit of wear, but not much. Not much. That blister is in great shape. Here's the back of the card back here. I mean, this is probably like a very, mid-range 80-ish kind of grade, and that sold for $102.50. So I don't know if these prices are indicative of the market and that we're slowing down a little bit, but that is a really nice one. It looks like it might have just a slight yellow tint to the blister, which may have held the price back, but that's a pretty clean card, and it was punched, and it did have a price sticker, but that's still $102.50 for a vintage mint on card Tri-Logo with a blister that's in that good of shape. That is a good buy right there, whoever got that. Another good buy I thought was this one. This is a Palatoy Return of the Jedi AT-AT Commander, but this is the pale face Spanish-made AT-AT Commander. Look how pale that face is. Card back was very clean. Here's the back of it. Again, this is the Palatoy. Just a little bit of edge wear to it, probably a 75 plus or 80 grade. And that sold for $331.99. I mean, I'm sorry, if you get a Spanish-made figure, mint on card, on a foreign card back, a Palatoy card back for $331.99, good deal. That is a fantastic deal. This is a mint and sealed box collector series Patrol Dewback. So this is the second iteration, second issue of the Patrol Dewback. Obviously, there's one in 1978 or so that did not have that collector series starburst in the upper right-hand corner, but a mint and sealed box. It was in like a good solid 80 or 80 plus condition for $405. Absolute steal of a deal. Congratulations, whoever got that. Yet again, we've got another Size From. Every single recent video we've had for these market updates, it seems like we got another Size From. This was an AFA 70, 80, 85, clear blister again. Again, a very nice one. It had some litho damage in the upper right, and that's really what the cause of the low score was. But that sold for $1,300 free shipping. They've all been selling in that $1,200 to about $1,800 range, depending on if it hits that kind of 80 number for the overall grade. Or ungraded, I've seen, you know, some recent ones that have kind of been towards that $1,100, $1,200 number, but this one was graded and it sold for $1,300, and that's a pretty good price in the current market. A couple of Ewoks TV series low grays sold, exact same time frame, clear blister again, because these were made in the Mexico factory down in, you know, the Lily Letty factory, and those tend to have clear blisters. That one sold for $343, and then this one was unpunched and sold for $388, and it was also very, very clean. So that gives you a nice price range there for the low gray. I like the way this card back looks. It's just got kind of a nice, it gives me the warm and fuzzies. I can't explain it. It just looks good, and that was a pretty good price there. I had to talk about this lot. This lot was incredible. It included some Farm Boys, including the very tough to find dark brown hair Luke Farm Boy. Look how dark that brown hair is. It included several Luke Jedis, some Luke Bespins, and Luke in his Hoth gear. The last 17 Lukes. I mean, what an amazing batch. It included the coins for the last 17 Power of the Force figures, and they all looked complete. That sold for $4,568 and change, plus $112 shipping. So all of them were labeled as near mint with some strong C9 plus condition. So clearly the market agreed. I bet we see these get graded and then relisted. But wow, what an incredible lot to sell at auction. Another Holy Grail is this Canadian Return of the Jedi Boba Fett. I wanted to see if this would sell. It was listed for 5,500 Canadian, which is about 4,600 US dollars, and it did finally sell. Best offer accepted, probably in about 70, 75 condition. The blister's not too yellowed, but this is a very, very difficult card back to find for Boba Fett. This Canadian card back with the French language on the back. And it did have some pretty decent spider veining going on, but wow, what an incredible item, and it did finally sell. CIB, I'm going to finish off with CIB. They had a number of really nice loose graded figures, and we're going to start at the low end and go all the way to the very expensive. This was a no COO First 12 Princess Leia, black hair and belt. It was graded AFA 80. That sold at auction for $265. Really nice, beautiful example, though. Look how beautiful that is. Next up, we had a Lily Letty R2-D2. Very tough to find. This was AFA 70, obviously given the yellowing and browning to the sticker on R2-D2, which is a very common problem with any Lily Letty R2. But give me a break. That's a tough one to find. Here's the grading label. Type A sticker, light blue dome. And that one sold for $362. I thought that was a pretty good buy, really. Next up was an AFA 80 plus last 17 Imperial Gunner. New case style, that sold for $484. Again, I think that's very fair considering we've seen AFA 85s and above sell for anywhere from, let's call it $600 to $800. So pretty good price there. A couple of Taiwan and Hong Kong Boba Fett sold, and they were both very high grade. AFA 85 plus, that sold for $510. That one had the correct blaster, the V5 blaster, if memory serves. I can't keep track of all the versions of blasters, so I'm sure somebody will correct me. But look how clean that that Taiwan Boba Fett is. And that one sold for $510. I thought that price was also very fair. And then, surprisingly, the Hong Kong version of Boba Fett, AFA 85 Plus, sold for more money. I would rather have the Taiwan version of Boba Fett for the same grade, but this one sold for $545. And again, it was an AFA 85 Plus Hong Kong. This is the most common Boba Fett, in my opinion. I would much rather have that Taiwan Boba Fett, same grade. And maybe I'm just speaking out of turn there, but that seems like a better deal than the more common Boba Fett. This was a shocker in terms of the price. AFA 85 Plus brown-haired Luke. This is the no COO version that would appear like on Palatoy Tri-Logos. Very, very high grade. That sold for $912. Beautiful, beautiful Luke though. And then finally, an AFA 85 Plus last 17 yak face sold for $1262. There is no slowdown despite the economic concerns for last 17 yak face and high grade. At memory, we saw an AFA 85 that CIB sold a few months back, and that one sold for about $1,100. So this one was an AFA 85 Plus, so very, just slightly higher grade, and it sold for more. It sold for $1262. So pretty wide range of prices there. I hope you found something that gives you something to aim for future eBay auctions. Thanks so much for watching, and I will be back soon.